And so I've always taken the aspect of like I'm good on the government. You know what I'm saying? Like do for self.
Right. A lot of times we do view the government as an enemy, right? The ops, right? And so for me, like I'm a very spiritual person, and it reminds me of the scripture that specifically says, "I will make your enemy your footstool."
Ooh. And so I've always taken the aspect of like I'm good on the government. You know what I'm saying? Like do for self.
Right.
But this has given me a different perspective because there, when you look at the stats of our community, the government is the largest employer of black and brown people, right? And then the second largest employer of black and brown people are entrepreneurs. Yeah. Right? And so to know that this lack of trust, if you will, of the government is like, nah, I don't want my people working for the government. Yeah. But I'll take your money because it ain't really your money. It's like
our money
I'm
anyway.
A taxpayer.
Exactly.
You're a tax. Everybody, we pay taxes.
Absolutely.
So it's really our money, that the government is giving us back.
Yes.
And then now we could tip the scales, right? So if you're watching this and you're an entrepreneur and you care about your community and you care about taking back the control, right? Because at the end of the day, jobs could go. Right. Yeah. And then what do you have? Yeah. But if you are entrepreneur, and specifically though, I'm talking to you. You can't unhear this. Specifically, if you are a struggling entrepreneur trying to figure out how you can make ends meet, tap into government contracting because the money is there for you.
Absolutely.
You could use that money to now hire people, circulate money back into the community and become the solution instead of still being salty or being like, all right, the government did this in the past, so F the government, give me mine.
So like I talk to people about that particular thing all the time. It's like a lot of times we do view the government as an enemy, right? The ops, right? And so for me, like I'm a very spiritual person, and it reminds me of the scripture that specifically says, "I will make your enemy your footstool."
Ooh.
That's so powerful, right? And so when you think about it from that perspective, it's like all the government that oppressed the people now have these pools of money that's hidden in plain sight. But if you're smart enough, if you read and understand, right? Because there's riches in books. If you read and understand that the reparations is hidden inside government contracts for entrepreneurs, you can go get your 40 acres and a mule. It's not going to come from an external source. It's going to come from within, right? So if you have a business, having a business is one of the most significant, most powerful things that you can create. But most people don't know what they have. They don't know what they have, right? Your business will create wealth for you, but you have to be willing to learn how to get out of your own way and to do it the right way, right? So allow the government to fund your legacy. Yes, the government is funding my legacy. Before doing government contract, I own no land. I own no real estate. I couldn't afford those things. Now I own more than 10 acres of land. The government funded that legacy, and now I can pass it down to my children, right? I own properties and real estate and have rental property. The government funded that legacy, and it literally changed my life. So I was able to stand on the enemy's back to get and to accomplish things that society say I would never have accomplished, because statistically, I was supposed to end up a teen mom pregnant. Wow. Statistically, I wasn't supposed to have a college degree, and none of those things. Statistically, I was supposed to end up on drugs and on the street. And statistically, I was supposed to continue to pass down the middle class mindset of working for paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet and continuing to allow the government to tax me because poor people are taxed the most, right?
Facts. And
Poor people are taxed the most, right? And
Yeah.
so in order to get out of that rat race, you have to learn how to make more money.
Yeah.
The more money you make, the more time you buy back.
100%.
And time is the most valuable asset that we all have, right?
Yeah.
So the more time you have to enjoy life, right? While you're creating legacy, like it's a win-win.
That's a win-win. So what's the like? So you you know, you are now a coach, right? So
Yes.
not only are you eating well,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, from government contracts, you decided, you know what, I'm abundance is my birthright.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I'm not gonna hold all of this information to me because it's not scarce. There's enough for everybody out there, and
Yes.
so you know, you decided that, you know what, I'm going to start teaching people how to, you know, obtain government contracts. And you know, you have students, and you know, when we read your bio earlier, you have students that have made millions of dollars.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your program and your and some of the success your students have had.
So for me, it's like, because I didn't have a roadmap, it took me a little while longer than I wish it would have, right, to get there. And so I created a pathway to help my clients get there faster. I wanted to teach this information because it's not in the books. Nobody teaches it. I have college degrees. Like, I have a master's degree, a doctorate degree, all this stuff in business, right? And never once have I ever heard of government contracts until I talked to my fellow brother man, right? And he was like, you know what?
Right.
And you know what? I'm going to be the big mouth to tell everybody about this. And so for me, I wanted to empower other people who look like me. And I wanted to empower other women, especially, to create millions for themselves because there's power in money, right? And so, and also, so I have clients that come from similar backgrounds, barely making ends meet, all those things, who within their first 6 to 9 months, and some of them even faster than that, are landing $250,000 contracts. In fact, Remy, I think you may know him, Remy Jules, who's in real estate, but that young man secured his first $1 million contracts within 4 weeks of learning the system. So I created a fast track, right, for people. I just had a client, her name is Magda. Just yesterday, she called me and she started my program 6 weeks ago. And she said, you know what, I landed my first $150,000 contract doing CPR virtual classes for the government.
What?
Virtual. You don't even got to get out of your bed.
Wow.
You know, just you do the Zoom dress, put on your top, right?
Wow.
That's it. And so it's life changing.
Yeah.
It's changing people's lives. And so for me, it was very important to create you know, a blueprint to teach other people, because, like, for me, I've never been the crab in the bucket mentality. I've always wanted to share information. In fact, it's always been a part of just me as a person. Whenever I would get information, I would share it. Like, even before government contracts, whenever I learned about, like, how to get free money, that type of stuff, where to get grants, like, I would always go back and tell people. But sometimes people, you know, they hear this information and it doesn't, you know, they don't do anything with it. And so, but for me, it's still my job to continue to empower people with information that can change their life, because, like you said, the money is there. The only people that are not there are those who are not doing government contracts. But when you show up, you show up and you can literally change your life.
Man.